I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing this group together. Please be with us and guide us with your wisdom as we work through making decisions for this school district. May our work be honored and for the education that's provided to the school district, and yes, for safety and guidance for our educators and students alike. Roll call. Sean Bean.
Here.
Joanne Hathaway. Here. Ryan Hughes.
Here.
Jason McLean.
Here.
Stephen Page. Here. Steve Russell.
Here.
And Brandon Belton. Alright, so the first item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for this evening? Anyone second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the next item is the approval of the meeting minutes. Motion for approval of the meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and open it up for our student presentations now, and then we'll go back to the board organization.
Okay, so we'll start this time. Kara said the high school can go first. So we've got Miss Chelsea Place and Carson Wallace. Come on up. He is our student of the month. And she will explain why she's not ready. Guys come over there. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Place. I work at the front office. My nominating person in history is so respectful and polite, and he also offers so much help with students and staff and things you just not need to help with. All the way to helping me with cars. So that interest led him to go to try to get a John Deere internship, and maybe that would make him a perfect fit. And there you go.
Really, Carson has been on the docket, I think, for, we vote for student of the month and he's been nominated every month so far. So you're bound to win sometime.
I'm interested to know what you do to help them with their cars.
Yeah.
Pretty much turned it on and Googled a lot of things.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
For the elementary, we have Miss Norman and McKinley Crabtree is the student that she has nominated, so I'll go ahead and have to do them come up. Let Miss Norman share.
I nominated McKinley Crabtree as the student of the month for consistently showing kindness, responsibility, and courage. She treats classmates and teachers with respect, follows classroom expectations, and is always willing to help others. McKinley shows courage by trying new things, speaking up when it is right, and not giving up when something is challenging. She takes responsibility for her learning and sets a positive example through her caring attitude and positive choices. I am proud to have her as one of my kiddos and recognize her as a wonderful role model for the classroom.
And now she's gonna dance.
I was like choreograph the whole thing.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you don't want to sit through the rest of the meeting, this would be a good opportunity to leave. And we won't consider that being rude or anything like that. Except for you at the table. You have to stay.
Oh.
Alright. So the next item on our list is the board reorganization that we have to do every year, so we can do this each seat. And we can start with board president. Do you have any nominations for board president?
Yeah.
All right, do we have a second on that? All those in favor? Aye. All right, so next up is vice president. Any nominations for vice president? Or wait a minute, that's Joetta, vice president. Yeah, I'll nominate keeping Joetta vice president. All those, a second? All those in favor? Aye. All right. Next up, secretary. Secretary, I will secretary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations on your appointment. The next recommendation that we have, we need to appoint corporation treasurer and deputy treasurer by law. So at this point, I'd like to recommend Michelle Harrison as the corporation treasurer and recommend to appoint Kristen Lana as the corporation deputy treasurer.
So,
I'll make the motion to accept those numbers.
second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Each year we have to close the board meeting and, well, not close the meeting, but we have to appoint the board of finance. Usually the board of finance is the same officers that hold as the board of trustees. So at this point, we need to elect the president of the board of finance and elect the secretary of the board of finance. So we can have a motion to keep them the same as the board, and a motion you want to keep them the same.
Motion to keep it the same. I will second that.
All those in favor?
As a board of finance, an organization, required by law, we need to go over what's called fiscal indicators. And in the packet, I've included a lot of information about the corporation, about the community, all the information in there from the budget all the way through our net assessed value, the population, our ABM counts over the years. If you look at our net assessed value from this year to last year, it's gone up a little bit, not much, but we're still at 473 million as a corporation for net assessed value. Our ADM count does not reflect what it truly is on this. This is from DUAB on their website. Our actual fall ADM count for this year it was 700. Last year on the fall, ADM count was 690, so that's a great thing. A lot of schools are losing things, we're gaining. Our spring ADM count is in February. So once we know what that count is, then we can compare and see where we were as compared to last year. I know we've got some going out, some coming in the middle of the year. That always happens. So we get that ADM count, it will be probably not number 2 at the February meeting, so we just know where we are. Some of the other information in the packet, if you want to look through there, our budget, which came in at $11 million. We did get what we asked for from the State Department as far as the budget. We finished appropriations today. Shelley and I did. So everything went into place like it should. So it's all good. But if you look through the numbers, there's nothing really surprising there. Mr. Flutter is here tonight with us in case you have a specific question that I can't answer. A couple things that I thought I would just mention is we did agree to transfer a little bit more money from the education fund to the operations fund. We are allowed to do up to 15%, and we're going to do about 14.6 this year, as in for the last 3 years, we've done somewhere around 13%. Just because we've lost a little bit of revenue with the new tax bill and our operations fund. So to make up for that deficit, we're going to just transfer a little bit more money from the education fund because we do have that in the cash right now for this next year. And the way that we did the resolution in October was we have a ceiling amount, so we can fluctuate how much we want to transfer per month. And it's not just a set amount every month. We try to set it amount just because it makes sense to budget that a little bit. Right now, we're going to transfer probably $65,000 a month, whereas last year we did $55,000. So so that's where that difference comes in. And that'll help offset the expenses for the operations fund that we lost in the tax bill. Which I think was about 44,000 that we looked at, Paul, was that correct? When we looked at what Senate Bill 1 did, not a huge impact for us, but still a good impact.
The tax rate is very limited.
Yes.
You will do it. School systems.
Yeah, if you look at our tax rate, we're 76 cents. That's excellent. And we've prided ourselves on that for years to not raise the tax rate. We're probably one of the lowest in the state, I would say. So that's a good thing. We'll take a look at what that looks like, in a year, because at some point, it's going to catch up with us, and we're going to have to do something to make sure that we're not losing the levy and getting ourselves in a situation where we're not going to be able to operate. And as you know, operations fund is the one that's hardest to manage, because usually your insurance goes up, usually your utilities go up, transportation went up a huge amount on this last, we just started a new 4-year contract. So they came in, about $100 a day higher than they have ever been, because there's a big need for bus drivers. And so we value our bus drivers, but that takes a huge hit. So we're looking at utilities and insurance and transportation. That's 75–80% of that fund. So if that's in there. Also, you can look through the different fund amounts from rainy day to the education operation and the debt levy. Is all in there for you. I also included the website too, that you can go to and you can manipulate with the charts, and you can look at the graph form, the chart form, and how you like to do that. Some of the other things that I just wanted to just make note of is, we did get our budget. We do have one of the lowest tax rates. We were able to give all the teachers and all the classified staff a raise. This year, we were able to come to an agreement with a 2-year contract with the teacher union. Our insurance rates for health and property casualty only went up about 0.09%, so less than 1%, which is huge. Last year it was a 6% raise. 2 years ago it was about a 12% raise, so we really got lucky there. We've done a lot of facility upgrades in the last year, from parking lots to a new fire alarm system at the elementary school to redoing the sound system in the gym, putting in some new electrical components in the new transportation building. We bought a new bus, we bought a new truck, so we've done pretty well. So a couple things to just watch over the next few years, obviously, is the enrollment. We know that the graduating classes are larger than the kindergarten classes coming in. And obviously, ABM money counts a lot for your education fund, because that's where those dollars come from. So I've talked with our administrative team. We're always looking for ways to best be financially responsible, but also offer every opportunity that we can to our students by providing programs and staffing, just like any other school. And we've been able to do that. But we're going to really have to watch and be careful moving forward, because when you're talking out-of-state tuition, or what we get from the State Department is a little bit over $7,700 per kid. When you use 10, 12 kids in here, then you start getting into how can we keep funding the same staff that we have without cutting something else. So we're going to be creative, and we're going to look at ways on how we can do that and find other sources of revenue possibly, where we're not going to deplete our cash that we've had. We've worked really hard to have a $1.8 million cash balance above what we have appropriated in the education plan. So we'd like to keep it there if we can, but we also know that without taking out more debt or getting into other savings, that's going to be hard to do. So.
How many, do we have
58?
Yes.
58.
35.
35.
Oh.
So we made up for last year. But the next 3 or 4 years, and we have one class coming through. Is it the third grade class? It's 33.
Like,
So, and so you can see when you graduate with the class of 60, and you bring in a class of 40, there's 20 kids to do that. So we got to make up for that money somewhere. So, but I have faith. Hopefully you guys have faith in us, and we will do our best. And, yeah. The other thing to just note is when we look at technology, we talked about this in July when we discussed maybe doing a geo bond to borrow money to pay for the technology refresh in a potential new school bus. Over the last 10 years, there's been 2 technology refreshes. One was the money was taken from the elementary renovation bond money, and then the one after that was taken by the ESSER federal funds money. So our technology devices are way outdated. We have partnered with a group that is able to do a lease, which is not a one-time big fee, but it's going to cost $400,000 to $500,000 to replace those devices. In different cases, and different warranties, because what people are using.
Where are you at in the process?
We are getting bids for the process.
I've been in contact with, and I was going to ask you, the guy who's involved with some of the solar farm prospects in the county.
Okay.
And, they're offering money to fire departments, schools, and whatnot. So I approached him about a month ago. And he seemed to be pretty optimistic that there would be something available. And I gave him your information.
Okay.
So I haven't heard anything back.
If he's fine with sharing his information, I have no problem.
Yeah, I'll give it to you, and then I'll
Okay.
follow up with him.
Okay.
Because he was like, yeah, I'll look into it and let you know.
Because what we're going to have to do, because we did not think about it, which I was in support of that, is we're going to have to use invested money to do that. And so we knew that going in, those were the 2 options, or we don't get updated technology.
Yeah, I pitched him specifically the technology thing, we could use some help with that. He's like, yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
I think we can see that.
Well, and if it's a financial contribution that he's looking at, that could come at any time.
At any time.
Yeah, but when we
Doesn't
look
have to be
at,
upfront.
no, because what we'll do is when the CD comes to term, then we'll take out what we need to do for the 1-year lease, and then we'll leave the rest of it in there to keep maturing.
Yeah.
But with the 5-year lease, we're going to be able to grow that a little bit more than that. And so hopefully,
Yeah, we'll see if we can.
Yeah.
Get some.
we already out there that's willing to
Yeah.
partner on that. So, and I know the Community Foundation has really been good about helping out, and, $5,000, $2,000 here and there, it's a big help. So, but those are just some things, some information that I thought, you've already seen it, you've seen the budget, you've heard the budget, a lot of the fiscal indicators related to the budget. But I also wanted to give Paul an opportunity because, he's worked with us for a lot of years. And so if you wanted to make a comment about any of it, or if you want to talk about your budget, because we don't have claims tonight because we're early in the month of the meeting, so Shelley does not have those ready, so we'll approve the claims over the month. But this might be a good opportunity time to go over budget information since we're talking about fiscal indicators.
Let's look at the page. We've got some things that have popped up and a little bit unique. It's a kind of, so, if you look at the education thing, you started with 1.9 million, you're going to end with about 1.8. If you look at, and I tend to put the year before what the totals were, in 2024 in the last column. When you look at that, and you go down to expenses, and you look at the special ed OPEB payouts, in 2024, you spent $464,000. This year you spent 588. That's probably a reflection, and we talked to the guy yesterday. That's probably a reflection of how many people, right? You spend more money on kids, and you got more kids to take you. So that's something that we can't control, but you can see how the expense jumps. And that's one of the things we want to do.
Is that specific to Waco?
That's, well, it's located and station too. For a lot of the fish in the water. You're looking at the transfer staying at 55,000 this year, and next year that goes to 65. And that's something that has to happen. So, you know, your education fund is important. Sometimes you get criticized because you have huge cash benefits. But when you turn the page, you look at the operations, it's a good thing you've got the cash balance. You gotta remember that you have one checking, and it's all in that checking. And your software is what distinguishes what goes to education, what goes to operation, what goes to this fund, and all along. But you've got to have cash. And that cash in the bank is this 1.7 million is going to become very important. Because when you look at the operations, you turn that around, you're aware, I'm sure, by now, that we had a big player in the county that didn't pay the taxes. They paid it, and so we had about $350,000 short in the operations. We're also going to have to watch debt service, because that's a tax. So, but right now in operations, you wound up the year with $7,000 in that fund, and you started with $450,000. So next year, which is this year, you got people who still in 2025. This year, 2026, you're going to see most of the months in the operation fund. There's no way it's not. You start with 7,000 compared to 450. And that's just a direct cause. It's because those taxes don't get paid on time, and the auditor doesn't give you a late payment. The auditor will keep that money until June of this year, and then they will cut you a check for what you should have received, assuming everybody pays. And it'll come in June, so that'll make us well for a few months. And then we'll start dropping it, and then you will collect the second half in December. And that'll bring you back. Now, I'm running 2026, but I didn't run it tonight because I'm double checking myself. But when I look at 2026, it's going to come up. It's not going to be 7,000. It's not going to jump to 400,000. Because of those data, because of some of those things, you have no control over it. This fund, this operations fund, never goes down. Everything in that fund gets cheaper. You got utilities, insurance, all supplies, all that stuff. So this is the fund that the state is sitting on. This is the one where the homestead credit comes into play. So you're probably going to see bigger decreases for this fund in the future than you saw this year. We got to get prepared for 2027, although we just started 2026. And as we look out, and if we don't get any kind of increase in this fund for 2027, then the math is really simple. And that's where the large school differences are showing. I'm working with one that's reason as soon as $1 million. You know, that Biden, 50% of the funds will be gone. They have a very high tax rate. And so you're blessed with that low tax rate and not getting hit too hard by it. But that's what we'll watch. We'll watch this fund very closely. It just is aggressive cash. That's your cash. not going to get it out of this. It's going to have to come from other places, and the education fund becomes a really high priority. Because it has to fund everything as we move on.
And that's one of the reasons why we discussed before, doing the meeting, that transfer, having another 10,000 transfer. And when I called saying, hey, we're $300,000 short on our tax draw, what's the issue, what is going on? And they said, yes, we know, because we have one taxpayer that did not submit in their tax payment, it affected a lot of the municipalities. And I said, well, are we going to do a second disbursement? And they said, no, it's next. So now we're playing with that money that we should have got to finish out 2025. So our end of the year cash would have been somewhere over $340,000 in 7 years. So that's kind of where that played out. So it's coming to us, but it throws off the budget. But it is definitely something we're going to have to watch. And we'll have, I'm sure by July, we can always review what our student count is going to be like, what kind of direction we're going to go. Just things to watch. Nothing that's in trouble. But we just want to be ahead of it and not reaction. But that's all I have for the fiscal year. Unless anybody has any questions. Thank you, Paul. For the trip up here.
All right. So we can move right along to school highlights and results. The elementary side, we'll go back to for elementary, several of us were able to attend the school safety summit this last week. Very informative, very eye-opening, very distressing. To be honest, when we kind of went to the school safety conference, and you just getting forward to see some of the things that our students are facing. A lot of it was focused on digital safety, digital harm, digital crime assessment, those types of things. So that is just a little eye-opening for us to see some of the struggles that our students may have faced because it's accessed all the time. So, but it was very good information, things that we could bring back to our team and try to implement to support our students with as we wrapped up first semester, our report cards are going to be published tomorrow for that first semester. Our awards program is scheduled for January 28th. Today, our sixth graders did kick off their fundraising for their end-of-year trip, so they have been flown to our Holiday World Safari trip went over pretty well with students last year, so we're bringing that back for them this year. And we tried to treat them pretty well. For 3 hours. As of presenter said today in the Twinkie, that's how we refer to our school buses. So, we try to provide them with nice transportation and a big celebration for them and their elementary experience. And then we are going to have our second Fight Pack Day this Thursday. So this is the day where our 3rd through 6th grade students can earn different tickets for things like academics, behavior, attendance, organization in the classroom, all types of things, and they can earn tickets for each one of those, and then spend those tickets on different experiences, and they get to choose. And so this round, they're getting experiences in ice skating. That goes. But they're all really looking forward to that as our special area team who's doing that. They're leading that this weekend, so I'm really excited about that one as well. And then there are other prizes and rewards. Some are going to do a project for and swimming. There's all sorts of different things that we can any questions from the other team?
I do have one question. I think it was last year at the awards banquet that we talked about the reading and later I mean, no pressure. I'm just curious.
It's not coming tomorrow.
Because that's at a certain point, so many have to come past, and I'm not sure, I don't remember where that.
Yeah, so 3rd grade with Iron 3,
So actually our second graders and third graders are both required to,
Yeah.
we're required to test. If second grade passes, great, they're done, they don't have to deal with it whatsoever anymore. If not, they have another opportunity within the second grade year to take it. And then if not, then they still move on to third grade, they still take that. So, our students, are taking it, and trying to book it, just put it in the newsletter, it's going out in February, I believe it's March 2nd. That is when they'll take it this year for the first opportunity. And then after third grade, if any student still does not pass that test, they have 5 different options to qualify for a good cause exemption. So that might be a student who is an English language learner, they get a good cause exemption, students with IEP, if responsibility is necessary to move them on, they would get a good cause exemption. So like I said, there's 5 different ways, and they can then move on to fourth grade. So they are exempted from retention, but not from retesting. So they will still have to take that test until they pass it or until they can do sixth grade. And they get multiple opportunities for graders to do tests twice during the school year. They get an opportunity in the summer, so we'll get actually 3 within the year to pass that one. And I think last year we had all that didn't pass were eligible for that good class exemption. There were some where the decision was made to go ahead and maybe one exemption anyway. Just because the team felt that was the best for that student, but the rest, they were eligible for that good class exemption.
I just feel like I'm gonna do the last one. And they activate with a lot of people that pass and the other pass quickly.
It's very stressful. I mean, it's on top of just testing, it's testing that will determine whether or not it's going to go on to the next grade. And that's the only reason it's that and has to deal with that. So that's a little bit stressful for kids that young, but we've got good interventions in place. We have small groups that meet currently of our second grade students who were maybe, they're not considered do not pass, they're considered at risk for not passing. So we work with those small groups. I have a student that I see 4 days a week that didn't pass that first round. And so we're implementing those interventions to hopefully prevent them from not passing. We do have a few who don't, but we qualify for good cause. Okay. So we have our senior interview day this Friday, which we're really excited about. All seniors get an opportunity to interview with a community member that is in the field that they plan to go to. We all know how that goes for seniors. Sometimes where you think you'll be doing in January is not what you end up doing in June, but that's okay. So Mrs. Bean has been working very hard at getting community members willing to come in on a Friday morning and give up a couple hours to talk to students and interview them. So they come in and we have a process set up that they go in a group at a time, there's a break between, and then they have a 20-minute interview, well, 50 minutes, and then there's 10 minutes of feedback from the interviewer to the student. And they have to come dressed for the profession, and they have to bring their cover letter and their resume and a portfolio with their person. So it's always a really good experience for our kids to go through. They get very nervous before going in, and we try to pick people they're not overly familiar with because we think that's good practice. So every senior completes that this Friday, and then in the afternoon, we have several from different community foundations coming to talk about scholarships. People from Ivy Tech are coming to help them finish their student side of the FAFSA, because even if you plan to not go to college, the state of Indiana says you have to complete a FAFSA now. So working on that, and then a bunch of senior stuff, who we walking with, Ivy Partnership back in the So I will probably have pictures for you at the next board meeting, but I want to just go ahead and put out there that Mrs. Bean has spent already tireless amount of time on this, and it's going to be fantastic. So she does a wonderful job. And our kids are working on keeping their stuff out of this. We're checking resumes today, and kids are coming up and they're like, child, this experience, or how do I write this skill down? So it's just a lot of good conversations with that stuff. So if you're bored on Friday morning from 8:30 to noon, you want to stand on the track and look down, you're more than welcome to come and check that out. I'm at 8, it will be done. And then I also put the school safety conference on there from Indianapolis because
like Ms. Porter said, it is very informative and, you know, like every administration team from the state of Indiana feels like it's there and we do gain a lot of information. We have our school safety team meeting that meets on the 29th. So we try to meet at least twice a year. We also have a school safety week in fall and spring. So Mr. Medina and I are going to be working on kind of taking a lot of the stuff that we talked about at the conference, kind of running it through a filter and then providing that to our team. And then they'll decide what of that information we want to put out at our next 2-hour relay for our teachers and what we want our spring safety week to look like. We went ahead and did our fire drills today. That's part of the forecast. So we looked at the forecast and said, yeah, we're doing that today. So there's a lot of cool stuff that we kind of take from that and then try to tweak our own plans just to be prepared as best you can. Our attendance summary update, I've been trying to give you kind of consistent data in that. Upcoming school accountability is a thing. They said, hey, you're gonna get a letter grade at the end of this year, and we don't know what we're grading on yet, but we're gonna figure it out before May. So that's kind of where we were at with that. So Ms. Porter and I attended a couple accountability conferences to get some information, but attendance is a piece of that, and they want schools at 96%. So I ran that number just to see for kicks and giggles where we're at from August till today, and we are at 96%. So yeah, that's awesome. That's wonderful. School-wide, and then also almost at every single grade level. Freshmen are the only ones who are slightly below that, and they're still at 94%, which is fantastic. So we're very excited about that, and our parents have been doing a fantastic job communicating with Chelsea and Nikki and doing all the paperwork they need and calling in and so we thank them and joining us and trying to get that where it should be. And then we did get an IHSA exemplary report for our girls basketball team. Specifically, they mentioned Kiera Dunham, and as far as they talked about leadership and sportsmanship and just being a team that when referees ref the game, they're always polite, they're always going to help someone else. There's not a lot of inter-team fighting, and there's strong leadership on the court. So we got that on Saturday, I believe, this past Saturday. So we were able to put that out to parents, and we got to call Kira up, and I think Mr. Brown is planning on giving some awards and pins out for that as well. So that's always exciting when your athletes are also playing with integrity and making the school look good too, and making us also good. So pretty neat stuff. Any questions?
Thank you. All right, so now we're moving right along to public participation. I do have a here we go.
Is there any public?
Is there any public participation?
I wasn't sure what I was
Well,
Oh, and we're waiting for your speech.
I even
watched it in
advance.
We're going to secret handshake too.
All right, we'll move right along to recommendations.
Yearly, we have to designate a corporation financial depository. I'm making a recommendation that we go with First Financial Bank.
All right, so we need a motion to approve that designation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Also, by law, each year you have to disclose your conflict of interests. And you need to read those out. And then we will also need your signatures on those. This is to the courthouse. So if you just want to go around, if you have one, you need to stand. If you don't have one, you need to stand. So, and then we'll vote at the end of the accept those.
Jason, you want to start with you?
Yeah. My name is Jason B. Fleming, North and West, Stephen, 4798. Conflict of interest, I have is my
Brian Hughes, 13031, West Perrywood. Conflict of interest with JBH Enterprises as a contract. Also So we go to
John Deere, 2652, that's baseline grade, Indiana, 47847. My body blood pressure is now back. The only thing is the high school dance.
Page 2499 West.
Dwayne E. Hathaway, 5377 North Water Spring, Bayview, Indiana, 47938.
Steve Russell, 420 West Street, Perrysburg, Indiana, 479.
All right, so we'll need a motion to approve the. Yes. All right, in a second. All those in favor? Aye.
We have one field trip to approve. The high school robotics club, the class, excuse me, is going to be attending a field trip for their competition. It's the same one they attended last year. It is an overnight field trip, so therefore it needs the approval. So I'm asking for the board, as recommended by Ms. Jones-Burr and Mrs. Britton, to approve a high school robotics competition field trip. Saturday, the 24th.
Second. All those in favor?
State Board of Accounts requires that we approve worker fees for athletic events. I'm not sure the last time this has been done, to be honest with you. And so I felt it was important to get a fresh one on file. So included in here is the list of what the high school and junior high pay for those things. And we're talking about people who take tickets, clock workers, timers, concession stand workers. If you work on a fryer, sometimes we pay the jet at a set amount. So that's the list of the high school. And then the elementary obviously doesn't have as much, but this is what they pay theirs. The only difference that can come around, which State Board of Accounts acknowledges that, is when you have tournaments, you get money from the IHSA to pay officials and workers. And so that's different, and that's out of fees. And sometimes you also get that from the conference, for a conference tourney. But we have to approve those, including referee fees and what we pay. So I'm asking the board to approve the recommended fees for both buildings, junior, senior high school, and the elementary school, for their payments, athletic event payments.
Any questions on that? Second. All those in favor? Aye.
And I will say, we have quite a few people that volunteer, which is really nice. So we do appreciate our volunteers very much. It does saves the athletic funds money of other places. Next, we have personnel. So as always, we can do all at once. We do have one resignation. Mr. Crabtree is resigning from football coach. And we have heard he has accepted a football coaching position at Escondido. And so he will be not coaching for us. We're sad to see that happen. But so his resignation is we also have some appointments. We'd like to recommend Dustin Britton to teach the entrepreneur class for the rest of this semester. And what that is there's a WRCTE vocational class that was taught by South Vermillion. Their teacher quit, basically, for lack of a better term, at the semester, left education. And so we have three that we know of, there's more, students that are halfway through that pathway that now are, it's really going to affect the whole year's work because they can't finish out the pathway. So we have somebody who's licensed to do that, with Mr. Dustin Britton. and he has agreed to finish that out for us for this semester. We are waiting for Ivy Tech to make sure that his credentials are clear, and for Mr. Newby to process that through the workplace specialist licensure, which should be no problem. But he recommends to take over that position. It's 4 hours a day for those students for the rest of the semester, and then hopefully we'll see what goes next year. The other appointments that we have are volunteer coaches. Shelby Lee for assistant swimming, volunteer assistant, and then Kennedy Hall for a volunteer assistant for junior high school girls basketball. So those are my personnel recommendations for this evening.
Real quick, as a side note, so recruitment is January 15th for WRCTE, and for a program for us to sort of, by hosting another vocational program, we can gain some more of that vocational money that was we discussed earlier. So if we recruit 15, I think is sort of price magic number, students to participate in that vocational next year, then we will gain some of that cash flow that we really have to sit in other kids understand additional vocational program. So we'll recruit for that on the 15th and see what we do.
And that's another way that we do gain some revenue. It's not revenue, but we get 30A money, which is vocational money, because for each class that's offered through the vocational program, it's worth a different amount of money by the state. Robotics is a high one. Entrepreneurship is a high one. So any student from another school that takes that class gets a proportionate share. So they pay us a check at the end of each school year for kids who take that class with us, as we do with other schools.
All right, we want to do all personnel under 10. All right, do we have a motion to approve the
I'll make a motion.
all those in favor?
We do not have any claims for this meeting. Sorry, Mr. McLean. I don't know how much you like reading those off. Because we met a week earlier than normal, claims are not done yet. And you give permission for our corporation treasurer to let pay the bills, and then we can forward them to us to discuss the motion process. So there are no claims at this point. Unless, Paul, you have anything else you want to say, I've got a few updates for me that, just to let you know, they are on campus today, putting cameras in buses. So they think that they can get that done within the next 3 or 4 days. That includes 2 stop arm cameras, 4, I think, internal cameras, and then also the GPS tracking system. So it's going to be really nice to say, doing a call that says the school bus didn't stop. I think we'll go to like, yeah, there it is, and I can tell you what time they stopped and how long they waited there. And it also provides a big safety issue, obviously, for students and the driver on the bus, and then obviously the stop arm violations that we've had. Unfortunately, we did catch them a little bit easier with computers. Technology refresh finance, I talked about that earlier. We're hoping to make that purchase sometime mid-February, March, especially for the staff devices, because we want to get them in their hands before summer break. So they can spend the summer transferring what's on their current devices to the new device, getting familiar with it, and then when we deploy the new devices in the fall, they'll be ready and ready to go. We do have a company that will do a buyback option with what we have, and I'm hoping to gain about 25% of what's going to cost back in buyback option. So that's good. If we can keep them in good shape, we should do that. The school safety conference, the both of them are in that I was there in attendance. So was Mr. McKean, our SRO. It was very enlightening, a lot of information, a lot of, it's just a sad world. Lock your kids up and throw phones and social media away. It's just outrageous on a lot of is out there. So the big topic was threat assessment. Once you start hearing or seeing red flags, the proper protocols to really do some digging in to find out what the problem is before it becomes a major deal. So we picked up a lot of good things. I took my first Uber ride at the in downtown Davie, which was quite exciting, because I fell off the curb and then I lost my phone for a half an hour, so, but it was all good, so these two ladies
I didn't bring it.
helped me out quite a bit. I was just gonna do it because I knew you would have later. I did my first 3 Uber rides in 1 hour, so 0.6 miles back and forth.
Sounds about.
It was wonderful. Just so you know, we are in session. We did use all of our 4 flex days in the calendar, so January 19th, February 16th, April 17th, and May 22nd are in session days. So we are at the point now, if we have to miss another day for in terms of weather, we will go into our 3 allowable asynchronous e-learning days. And then if we use those 3, then we will look at what it's going to look like if we want to do synchronous, which I'm totally against both synchronous and asynchronous, but I'm not sure it's going to be much different if we're learning remotely in February or coming to school, 2 or 3 days after the scheduled calendar, because you're probably not going to much there. So it's pretty good. So other than that, I have nothing else. Just a reminder to sign your papers tonight. And then there's also, is it the operations of the budget sheets? That we need all these signatures on. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Oh, and do you have to write a report now?
No.
He's like, don't even talk about that. I'll end up having to do it next time.
If you do want to present the school updates next month, I will humbly.
No, you look good.
Oh, did I handle it okay?
Yeah.
Have a good one. See you later.
We get in?